Alright, so I'm going to show how to open up and disassemble this Eluktroniks laptop, Eluktro Pro notebook, model P650HP. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is remove all the screws from the bottom using a PH1 or JS1 screwdriver. Alright, so let's just go ahead and take them all out. You want to keep all the screws in order because they can be different size, shape, and lengths, and if you mix them up, you can actually damage the computer. The way I do that is I take the flat side on my desk and I just put them in the pattern I remove them, and that's how I remember. So I'll usually go across in rows and then I will memorize it from there. If they are close enough in order, then I will count that as the same row. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. I would count it like that, right? And put them in that pattern. Alright, so let's go ahead and continue removing all these screws. If you don't really care to see the entire pulling the screws out and everything, then you can go ahead and fast forward, but I highly recommend watching through. Alright? Anyways, if this video helps you with your computer, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share my channel with others. Alright, let's go ahead and continue removing. It helps to sometimes use a magnet to remove these screws, so let me grab a magnet here. So I have a small magnet that's actually about the size of the screw itself, so I can actually use that to get in there and then remove the screw like that. Alright. Okay. Alright, let's go ahead and continue removing the screws. If this video helps you save a bunch of money, please consider throwing a little my way. Every little bit helps. Right now, YouTube is actually eating into my repairs because a lot of people are, even people locally, are finding my videos, and because I'm helping people fix their own devices, it actually ends up costing me business. So hopefully you guys can understand and appreciate it and help me out so I can continue making these. And not cause myself to close down my business. I do this full time for a living, all these repairs and everything. I actually work on customers' computers. Alright, so hopefully you guys will appreciate this. Alright, this screw is staying in there, so I might just leave it in. Doesn't look like it's coming out. Okay, oh, there we go. Alright, and we're going to continue removing all the screws. Again, I put these in rows. Whatever pattern helps you remember it best, just go ahead and put it in that pattern. So far, the bottom screws are looking to be about the same size, but again, it's always a good idea to keep them in order just to be safe. Alright, let's go ahead and remove the last 3 on the bottom here. Alright, last one. Okay, hopefully this cover will come off without taking out anything else. I'm going to try with a suction cup here. So there's some smooth surfaces here. Let's see if we can pull this up. Seems to be stuck there pretty strong. Oh, okay, it's popping up a little bit. Let's take this out just to be safe. There's a USB thing. I don't think I need to remove that to get it out, but let's see. So I'm pulling this up here, and it's kind of, I'm going to use my fingernail. You can use a plastic pry tool, whatever works. Alright, and I can see this cover slightly coming up, but it doesn't want to come out completely. I might have to remove the keyboard first because they do have keyboard screws here. So let me actually flip this over and see about removing the keyboard. Alright, so let's go ahead and open this up. Alright, so let's see. I don't see anything specific for the keyboard. The way I usually will remove these type of keyboards, I'm not sure how this style of keyboard is, but it had 2 screws on the bottom, so most likely we're going to use a flat tool like this, and then we're going to go along the top, and sometimes you can feel clips there, yep, and then you can go ahead and pop that up. So I slide the tool along here. I'll feel this tool's slightly rounded here. It's not sharp, so when I slide this tool here, I can actually feel it raises up the tool, and then I can kind of push that little clip out of the way by wiggling the tool. So the tool goes up. Let me see if I can zoom in and show this a little bit better. Okay, I'm going to tilt it like this. So as I slide the tool here, so I can actually feel the tool. So right now you see my ring finger here is flush against the keyboard. As I go across, let's see, as you see, it lifted my ring finger up above. Let me show you that again. Okay, so right now my ring finger is like low there. As I go across, as you can see, it lifts my finger, and then that's how I know that's where one of the clips are, and then I just wiggle this tool and it pries it up. Alright, so just like that, same thing. I feel another one. And that's how you do that. All right, let me zoom out so you can see the entire thing I'm working on. Okay, find where those clips are, and then you kind of just wiggle and pull it out. All right, then what you want to do is you kind of like hold on this upper area. If you feel like, see here, it's all lifting on this side, but on this side it's still seated, so get the tool over there, and then you can pry it up a little more. And then also there's the clips on the side here, so usually it helps, you want to fold the, or not really fold, but what would you say, you would lift the middle here so that it raises it and the keyboard will kind of bulge out like that way, and that causes it to pull these side edges inward so that the clips release. Okay, so as you can see, I kind of just pull it like that. All right, and that causes it to bow inwards or outwards, and then that releases these side clips here. Once you do that, you can pull this keyboard slightly forward, and I have to be careful here. I'm going to lift this up a little bit. All right, so here you can see all these cables under here. You want to be careful. So it looks like these cables are a little tricky. We're going to have to try and lift from this side. Okay, so as you can see here, if you've seen my other videos, these have some sliding clips as well as lifting latch clips. Let me see if I can zoom in and show this. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show this in camera. We'll try. Okay, so hold this up. So here you can see these have these little black latches, so that you have to slide them that way, this slide that way, and then this one is a little flip latch. So this one, let me see if I can show this. So what you want to do is you flip this latch upwards. It's a little tricky because there's not much area to work on this. Okay, the cables are pretty short, so you flip this little latch upwards just like that. Once you flip that latch up, you can go ahead and pull this cable out. All right, these ones have little push latches, so I don't know how I'm going to show this. Let me try with this little plastic tool. Maybe that will get the thing out of the way, and then I'm going to have to use like a box or something to hold the laptop up slightly. Okay, let's see if I can even show this. Okay, so, okay, I need something taller. Let me get this roll of tape here and put that under. Okay, so I'll hold this up. Okay, so here you can see the keyboard cable here. I'm going to use this tool to push that latch that way. Okay, so just like that and just like that. Once you push those two tabs out, then you can go ahead and slide the cable out. And we're going to do the same thing with this cable over here. All right, push that latch out, push that latch out. You want to be gentle. All right, once you do that, you can go ahead and push this cable out. And there we go. So now we got the keyboard out. Let me lower this down. Okay, and zoom out here. Okay, so now we got that. We can go ahead and lift the keyboard out. So here you can see there's two separate cables for the keyboard itself, and then this is for the keyboard backlight. So I believe this is to prevent ghosting on the keyboard, which is like if you press multiple keys at once, sometimes it won't work. All right, so there's the keyboard. Let's see if there's keyboard model numbers. There's a bunch of like different model numbers here, but here's the, I think this is the actual model number, so you can look at that. Part number here, model number there, and keyboard serial number there, I guess. So if for some reason you need that information, you can check there. You got the RAM slots here. You got a bunch of connectors under here. I'm not exactly sure what they are connected to. I'm not going to completely take the whole thing apart, so if you need that, I'm sorry, but the customer's only issue is with the charge port, and right now I don't see any screws I need to remove under here to remove the bottom cover, so most likely I'm just going to put the keyboard back in. There is one thing I'll show here is the RAM slots, so let's go ahead and remove these screws. Okay, so there's 4 screws here. Let's go ahead and remove all 4. There we go. Now that you got all 4 screws out, we can go ahead and lift this metal plate out. And here you can see the 2 RAM slots here. They're empty. Excuse me. Okay, my throat's all dry. It's kind of dusty, so I might actually clean this out even though that's not what the customer asked me to repair. Like, it's dusty. So probably just going to take this outside and blow the dust out of here real quick. But here you can see the 2 RAM slots. I'm not sure what type of RAM it supports. I'll find out most likely once I remove the bottom cover, but this is definitely PC4 or DDR4 RAM. You got a connector here, connector here. This says LED, so this is probably for all the lights on the front, so I think that cable's for these lights. This, I believe, is for the trackpad, and then you got a tiny cable here. I'm not really sure what that's for either. I don't see anything labeled there that tells me. Actually, let's see. It says JKB LED. No, that's for this keyboard LED. So I don't know what this tiny cable is for, and I'm not gonna pop it up. It might actually be for the fingerprint sensor here. You got the BIOS CMOS battery here. This connector, you just grab the wings of this and you kind of just wiggle it, and then it'll eventually pull out. You don't want to just yank it out like that. This one is most likely for the power button. So if your power button's broken, I believe this cable is for that. And then this looks like speaker cables. All right. So again, I'm gonna clean the dust out here real quick, and I will be back. All right. I'll see you guys in a bit. All right, so I'm back, cleaned out the fans. We're going to now put this back together. All right, so it doesn't look like this is required for removing the bottom cover. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this all back. All right. If you do take the motherboard out, you do have to disconnect all these little connectors and everything in here. Actually, maybe I'll actually leave the keyboard out for now just in case. But most likely I'm not going to take it completely apart, because the customer told me the max they're willing to pay for the repair is $120, which is pretty low if I have to take the entire motherboard out and do the charge port and everything. So he said that if it can't be done for like around $120, then he'll most likely just use it as is, because the charger kind of works. He kind of has to like stand it up on the back, and then it charges that way. But yeah, as far as like usage wise, I don't know, it wouldn't work for gaming if you use it that way unless he's using it with an external monitor. But he said that if he leaves the thing like this on the charger, it will keep charging. So he doesn't feel like it's worth it to repair unless it's like on the cheaper side. So most likely I don't think it's going to be in that lower end range, but we'll see. Let's go ahead and continue taking this thing apart. Sometimes it might be the solder's just bad, and I can fix the solder without having to take it apart. So let's go ahead and try and pop this cover. Again, I'm just sliding my fingernail along here. I don't know if it's going to come out or not. It seems like it's not. Let me turn it this way so I can get a better view. What's popping up here? Okay, I would have thought the clips would pop up here, but it looks like it's unclipping from up here instead. So let's try and pop these clips out on the front here somehow. Wow, this looks like it's going to be a tough computer to pop open, so I don't know. All right, let's go ahead and try and pop this side out. A lot of times what works is if you see this gap here, okay, what works is sometimes I'll get my fingernails in that gap, and then I'll use that to pull and push with my thumb here, but I want to avoid the trackpad itself. So let me try that. To be careful because the screen is kind of moving all over the place. All right, it doesn't seem to want to come out, so I don't know. This is a tricky laptop. Let's go ahead and let me make sure all the screws are out. Okay. Let's go ahead and try popping it from here. Okay. So I'm using the back here. I'm pulling up with my fingernails. As you can see, the plastic frame is kind of coming up, so that might be what we need to do. The only thing is this USB port seems to be extending out into the plastic frame, so most likely we can't lift it out that way. So we're going around this way, and then, oh, okay, that's working. So now we can go ahead and lift up this side. Okay, and we're gonna work our way down. I don't know if they're hiding some screws under there or something, but this definitely is coming up. As you can see, this part is opening out. So let's go ahead and continue trying to pull the case up and sliding my fingernail along there. And it is working. There we go. So we got the front, oops, I clipped it back down. So we got the front out now. So after we kind of started from here, we worked our way around the side, and now we got this side up. So let's go ahead and use the suction cup, and there we go. So you want to, again, lift it this way because the USB port does extend out into here. so this is very strange. A gaming laptop, they're only using one slot of the RAM when they have 4 slots. So here you can see, let's go ahead and pop this out. It's also weird because this is RAM slot number 3, this is RAM slot number 4. I don't know why they didn't put this in RAM slot number 1, but this is a 16 gig stick, DDR4 2400, alright. So if you want to upgrade your RAM, make sure it's DDR4 2400, and you can go ahead and put all 4 if you want to have 32 gigs of RAM. I'm going to put it back. These pins look pretty gross right here, so I'm going to actually clean these up and just wipe them off. I just wipe them like this, just to make sure that you have yourself grounded. I have my leg or my knee against the metal part of my desk, and yeah, alright, make sure you're not generating a bunch of static electricity that can damage the computer. So I'm going to use this and pull out some of the dust that's trapped in here. Now that I have a better view of the fans, I can actually clean the fans a bit more. They're still pretty dusty, so I just use like a toothbrush like this. You want to be careful with the fan cables and stuff there, okay? But just like this, just brush it up, and that will loosen off the dust, okay? And then you can use an air blower. I usually use an electric blower, but since I'm sitting here, I'm just going to use this. This one doesn't look too bad, so I'm going to leave those. I actually blew the vents out already from the other side, so we should be okay. Alright, so we got the CPU here soldered to the motherboard, and then the GPU here also soldered to the motherboard, so you can't replace those. You got a... Are they seriously only using a SATA SSD here? So this is a M.2 SATA SSD. Let me zoom in. The computer actually also has a 2.5-inch SATA. Actually, it has 2 2.5-inch SATA hard drive slots. They didn't include the hard drive screws for this, but as you can see, there's 2 slots. If you want, you can take this bracket out. There's 2 screws here, and then there's 1 screw here, and that might just be it. It looks like there's only 3 screws. Oh, and then 1 more screw down here. So there's 3 screws on the bottom side here, and then 1 screw here. And then after you do that, you can remove this bracket. Yeah, there's no screws here. And then there's 4 screws that you can mount 2 SATA hard drives. You can put 2 SATA SSDs in here if you want. Alright. And yeah, so this device is pretty nice. It's pretty upgradable. There's a lot of room for upgrade. 4 slots of RAM, 2 hard drives, and a M.2 SSD. Let's take this hard drive out. There's 1 screw. We'll take that screw out. The SSD pops up at an angle like this. You can go ahead and pull that out. Here you can see this says SSD, but they don't... So you can actually mount, you can use all the different sizes of the M.2 SSDs, but they don't say if it supports PCIe, NVMe, or just SATA. I would assume, because it's a gaming laptop and it's not super old, that this port supports M.2 PCIe NVMe, but this is a M.2 SATA SSD, so to be safe, if you're not sure, you want to get an M.2 SATA, but if you're willing to experiment, you can go ahead and try a PCIe NVMe. It won't damage the computer, but if it's not supported, then you won't be able to install the operating system on it. Alright, I'm not going to remove the wireless card just because it's basically the same thing as every other computer. You just remove that 1 screw and then you can pop it out just like this card and pull it out. The antennas you just pull up from the tails, and then yeah, if you're not sure, please watch my other videos where I actually remove the wireless card and you can learn from that. My channel is all about learning, so hopefully you're not just watching this only to work on your own device. It's a good idea to watch multiple videos, and you can actually learn how to pretty much work on all these different computers. Alright, so you got this connector here, which connects the audio board here. Okay, so many wireless antennas, so there's another card here, or slot here for another wireless card. It looks like 3G or LTE connector wireless card. I don't know if this supports a PCIe card as well. I'm not too sure about that. But yeah. Alright. Some people told me that these are PCI slots, but I've never messed around with that. This doesn't look like, because the notch is on the wrong side. I think usually the notch is on the right side of the chip. So, I don't know. Maybe a M.2 SATA. I've never tried that. All right, you got the fans here, but the connectors are on the other side of the motherboard. All right, then you got the LCD Lvds connector. If you mess with this cable or on the other side of the screen, if you're taking the screen out, make sure that you disconnect the battery and then press and hold the power button for at least 10 to 15 seconds to drain the power before doing that. Otherwise, you'll burn out the backlight circuit. The fan connector for this fan, you can actually see here underneath this piece of tape. All right, then we got this one cable here. It goes into the screen. This is probably for the camera or something. All right, we got the charge port here. I can't really tell if it's cracked or anything. I don't see anything, but I'm going to try using my soldering iron to heat that up and try and add some solder to that the gold pin back there. And if we're lucky, then that might fix the charging issue. I'm actually gonna try, let me see if I can see if it's loose or anything. This is kind of dusty here, so I'm gonna actually clean this off as well. I'll do that outside. Alright, so I don't know if I'll be able to even see this. Usually I'll use my phone to zoom in with the camera. I don't know if I can do this while I'm trying to record, but let's see here. Okay. So usually what I do is I would plug the charger in. Let me see if I can zoom in and show this. So if it's broken how I think it is, then we might be able to see like a crack in the thing, but I don't think it's broken like that. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't see, oops, sorry. Normally I would look at here, and if I move the charge port around, then I can sometimes see that something is cracked here, but I don't know. The crack might be internally in this charge port, so I can't really get to that by wiggling this around. Yeah, it kind of sucks. This charge port is right there. Yeah, I do see it kind of wiggling around in there. Yeah, so I don't know. Sometimes the little tail here cracks and it's no longer connected. I will see what I can do. I don't know if I'll be able to actually solder that because there's not much room to get in there with the soldering iron. So I don't know if I'll be able to actually do that or not. We'll try, but it'll be a little bit risky too because these little grounding pins are here. But anyways, that I'm gonna have to do off camera because I can't really try and focus on that on camera, and then I'm gonna end up breaking something. So I'm just gonna clean this up. We're going to basically reassemble this thing, and then yeah, and that'll be that. Okay, so I'm gonna clean the dust out of the other part. The battery here, if you're wondering, this has the little wings on it. You just, same thing as the speaker cable and stuff, you just grab the wings and you kind of just wiggle it and pull it back. If you're not sure how to do that, watch my other videos when I work on computers. This one I don't want to mess around with too much stuff, so if you want to get examples of how to remove these connectors, just watch a bunch of my other videos. Usually the connectors will be similar, but again, because I'm not actually fixing this issue with the computer, I don't want to risk messing anything up. There's some numbers here. Okay, I don't know if that's the battery model number or not, but maybe that might help somebody. Actually, the battery, let me actually remove the battery since I'm going to be soldering this thing. Okay, let's go ahead and remove the battery. So we got one screw here. Okay, and then we got 2 screws on this side. Sorry about that, I forgot I left my phone charging with the phone case, so it overheated again. Anyways, I removed this one screw here. Now we're going to remove the last screw here, holding the battery in place. Let me actually zoom in to make this a little bit easier to see. Excuse me. So we removed the 3 screws here, 2 on this side and then 1 on this. All right, now we're going to lift the battery out. You want to be careful lifting this up. Okay, make sure it's not stuck on anything. It does feel like it might be stuck on something, so it's kind of weird. Let's go ahead and carefully kind of lift it up. There we go. Huh. I wonder why this felt like it was stuck or something, which is kind of weird. There's no tape or anything there. All right, anyways, let me zoom out a tiny bit. All right, so we're gonna pull the battery down just barely so that we can have access to the wings of the battery connector here. Then we're gonna go ahead and wiggle the wings of the battery connector just like that, and there we go. So we pulled the battery out. It's pretty dusty under. So here you can see the actual battery model number is P650BAT-4, all right, P650BAT-4. Hopefully that helps. You can see 14.8 volts, 60 watt hours. And yeah, so there's the battery model number. I don't know what this number is here. Maybe it might be useful to somebody. So we'll set the battery aside. And now you can see here for sure that cable I was talking about is for the LED board. This one here you can see is for the trackpad. There's all these actually going into the trackpad. Then you got this small cable, again, for the fingerprint reader. I don't know why there's so many cables coming off of this. So it looks like, oh, I see. So this cable for the buttons here is going up and then over to this cable to the actual trackpad. And then this cable goes from to this board to the motherboard. And then this little middle one is for the touchpad, which goes over there like I was mentioning earlier. All right, once you remove the battery, to be safe while working on the insides of the computer, since I'm going to be doing some soldering and stuff, let's go ahead and press and hold the power button 10 to 15 seconds. All right, you want to do this. It'll drain power from the capacitors and things like that so that it's a lot less risky to work on the computer. This is actually absolutely necessary when you work on the LCD or LVDS connector. If you're removing the screen, if you're doing anything with the screen connectors, you want to do this. This screen looks to be pretty simple to remove. You can pull this screen part out just by, if you watch my other videos like screen replacement videos, you'll see the laptops with these kinds of frames usually are pretty easy. You pull with your fingernails on the inside and then you push with your thumb in this way so that it's kind of like twisting the bracket that way. So these screens tend to be pretty simple to replace, so if you want to see how to replace the screen, watch my other screen replacement videos. Look for ones that have plastic frames like this and basically follow that. If you follow that properly, you should have no problem with replacing the screen. All right, anyways, I'm going to turn this around. I'm going to actually put the keyboard back in. So it's pretty dusty in this thing. Let me dust this out a little bit better here. Okay, so for now I'm going to put back the keyboard because we don't need that opened anymore. Here you can see I cleaned the dust out of here a little bit. Okay, let's go ahead and put this thing back on. And again, I'm putting this side first to get the USB 3 port lined up. And then once you get it kind of lined up, you can go ahead and get the rest in. So I'm going to snap it back together and then you can kind of learn how to, so there you go, that one fell in the right spot, and then you can kind of put that. I'm not going to completely snap it all back together. This thing's kind of dusty still. Okay. I'm not going to completely snap everything back together yet because I still need to work on the inside, but let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to use this box with the tape again and see if I can hopefully show you how to put the keyboard back into place. Alright, so basically opposite of what we did before, we're going to have to get those cables in and then push these little latches back in. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to, it is a pretty difficult keyboard to put back in, it looks like. So this cable, it has a little slack so that you can kind of, let me clean that up, it's pretty dusty. Okay, so that you can kind of use that. So if you want, you can actually, let me zoom out here. You can actually have the keyboard slightly moved over and then you can use this slack to get that in place. So here you can see I can bend it like that instead of having it all the way over to the left. So you can actually use that. Make sure these little latches are pulled all the way out, okay? All right, on both sides. And let's go ahead and try and get this keyboard back in. So get this cable in. You might need some help holding this keyboard. It's a little bit easier if you have the keyboard flat, but because I'm trying to show you guys how I'm doing this, then I kind of have to hold on to the keyboard. Normally I would just let the keyboard kind of lay down on top of my hand, but again, I'm trying to show you guys what I'm doing. So there we go. So let's go ahead and now pull these two latches. Make sure that this is completely in. Again, this is hard to do on camera, so hopefully this is going to help some people with theirs, and you have to be very careful you don't accidentally tear this cable here, okay? Very, very delicate. You don't want to yank the keyboard too far. All right, let's go ahead and get this other cable in as well. Okay, once you get that cable all the way in, go ahead and pull these latches as well. Okay, sorry, I know the cable is in the way so you can't really see, but I'm pulling those little white latches back down to have it clip on the cable. You want to try and pull both latches at the same time to make sure it's completely flush. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and get the keyboard backlight cable in. Now you can kind of slide it more over to the left. All right, keyboard backlight cable, get that one in. Hopefully you guys can see what's going on here. Right, once you get that keyboard cable, backlight cable all the way in, oops. Again, this is really tough to try and make sure that I'm recording it, so I hope you guys really appreciate this. Okay. Alright, so let's go ahead and see how can I do this better so my hand is more flat to get this. It's really difficult because I have to try and hold the keyboard out of the way so you guys can see. So let me try and grab the brown tab itself. Okay, get that lined up and hold this brown tab so that it stays connected, and then flip this latch back down. Right, it looks like it's a little crooked, so I'm going to fix that, but hopefully you understand how it goes back in. Move that out of the way. Let me fix the cabling here. I'm going to do it the proper way. So normally I would have the thing down like this, so I mean you can't really see what I'm doing, but I'm just going to reconnect the cable now the proper way. Okay, outside of view of the camera. Hopefully you guys already got the idea. Okay, make sure that's holding in and put that latch down. Okay, sometimes it helps when you have the keyboard like that, and then you can push the cable from behind and then push that latch down. There you can see it's completely flush. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and put the keyboard back in now that we have all the cables plugged in. So you want to tilt it up like this, get the little legs of this in first. Then you want to hold the middle part up and then push these sides in. Okay, same thing, hold that down, go to the other side, push those sides in. Okay, and then once you get both sides in, you can go along the top and clip all of it back into place. So there we go, we got the keyboard back in. All right, let's go ahead and close this slowly. You want to carefully, slowly close it because these screws are supposed to help hold the hinge in place, and once those are removed, it's a little bit more fragile. All right, let's go ahead and pull the cover back out. Use the suction cup to make it a little bit easier again. Okay, so once you got the front part of this cover up, kind of just wiggle it and push it forward this way. Okay, got the cover back out pretty easily. Again, make sure you pressed and held the power button to drain any power in there. Okay, now I'm going to see about repairing the charge port. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show this on camera, but we will see. Let me see if I can zoom in here. Okay, here we go. So the charge port is down here. So I don't know what I'm going to do. Let me see. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to record this, but so let me see. Most likely, if the charge port is somehow repairable, what I would do is I would get some, yeah, I don't think I can do that. This piece is too far in the way. If I do that, I'm most likely going to end up damaging all of these capacitors and things here. It might be possible if I cut a little bit of this plastic part here, but I don't want to do that and then end up risking complete damage to that. But here you can see there's not much room to work in here, so I don't think I'll be able to do that. What I would normally do, I would try and get some what do you call, not thermal paste, but I would try and use the rosin or the flux paste to get into here, and then I would get a little bit of the solder and then heat that up, and hopefully the solder would flow down into there. But again, there's not much room to work in here, as you can see. If I do that, I'm most likely going to end up like shorting these two pins together, which that won't work too well. So yeah, I'll try doing it off camera. If it works, I'll kind of just show what the results look like, but I doubt I'm going to be able to do that. All right, so we'll see. One thing I'm going to test is if it does have continuity through the things. All right, let me actually do that real quick, and we'll see if there's even power going through here. So the way you would do this, okay, you would set this to resistance. I'm not really an electrician, so I'm just doing this based on what I've done in the past, and it worked, okay? So this little ohms like icon is the resistance, okay? So basically what happens if you have this on, if you touch the two pins together, it should go to 0 because there's no resistance. The electricity is just flowing straight through from one pin to another. So you can see my fingers don't really do much. If you put it on this copper thing, as you can see, it's showing 0 because copper is highly conductive. All right, so if I were to go to here and then I start touching like these pins here, okay, so the outer casing of this, and I touch the little leg here, as you can see, it's going like 0. So if I go here and I touch this outer leg here, it's going to 0. So that means it's connected. So here, if I touch like these, you can see like power is actually going through from this all the way to all of these little components here. Okay, if I touch the ground here, you can see that this copper thing is grounded. All right, there you can see. Okay, was it because my hand was there? No, that's weird. How come it stopped working? Huh. Okay. Okay, I guess this isn't grounded. So that's kind of weird. I don't know why it was showing for a little bit. Maybe my hand was touching something and it was completing the circuit. I'm going to turn this around so that I can see what I'm doing here. Okay. All right. Let's zoom out so you guys can see and I can actually work on it in a normal position, not like super far away. Okay, so let's go ahead and check this pin and this pin here. So you can see these little two pins, the legs on the back are grounded. If I check this pin, so I am getting a connection here, so that's very strange. Okay, so if I connect this pin here and I touch this, it is getting, that's weird. It's not going to 0. So this is the ground all the way to the positive cable, okay? Or I don't know if you would call it ground because it's DC, so positive and negative, I guess. But there you can see it's actually connecting. So maybe it's the charger that's the problem. It could be that his charger is the problem. I see this plastic is kind of like melted a little bit. That's interesting. I've never seen the inside of one of these so clear before that I can actually, it's not like a solid metal. You can see it's like just the little pins here. So I don't know. Maybe this black plastic piece is melted and it's not touching properly. Because he said when it plugs in, it doesn't make good contact. He has to like push it hard to get good contact here. So he had, he had to like push this hard to get contact. So that's kind of strange. So let me check something here real quick. I'm gonna check this pin and this. Here you can see power is going through. Let's go ahead and see if there's, it shouldn't be. So here you go. Okay, so here you can see it's connected inside as well. So that should be fine. Maybe what it is it's not seating far enough because this plastic. I might end up just filing this plastic down a little bit and that might get a better connection. But if it really is that it's cracked here, then that can't really be helped unless we go ahead and replace that. So let me check this one more time. I'm gonna check the little pin there, and let me check here. So as you can see here, we're still getting a connection. If I pull this slightly back, let's see. Okay, we're still getting a connection. And that's just barely touching this, so it's really weird that he would say it's not connecting. Even if I pull it like here, you can see it's actually reaching this gold pin and reaching the ground. Let's see if the ground here, you can see it's completely touching. So that's pretty weird. It's getting a solid connection, so I'm not gonna mess with that anymore. Let's go ahead and put the battery back in. That's very, very strange that he was not getting it to charge. I'm gonna plug it in and see what's going on. If it, yeah, I don't know what's going on. That's very strange. All right, let's go ahead and put the battery back in. So the battery, you want to line up the thing again. Make sure you didn't, if you're replacing the battery, that the red pins are going towards the RAM, and then the black cables are going towards this. All right, you don't want to flip it and then do it upside down. Make sure you have it right. If you buy a new battery, make sure to check it, because sometimes they have this cable twisted. All right, so pinch these two pieces together, clip that in place. All right, let's go ahead and get the battery back in. All right, get everything lined up. There we go. Okay, everything's lined up. Sorry, I was going out of view. Let's go ahead and put the battery screws back in. You want to be careful again now, because the battery is connected and the power is live flowing through the capacitors and everything. Okay, go ahead and get this screw in. So I don't know why he was saying the battery's not getting a solid connection. I'm gonna plug the charger in and then check the voltage coming off of it. Maybe that's the issue he's having. That's kind of strange. This end of the plug was also kind of loose, so let me make sure that's nice and solid in there. Okay, let's go ahead and put the rest of the laptop back together. Let's zoom out. Go, not that much. Okay, so again, you want to be careful with this part with the USB first. Okay, so we're gonna slide it up past there, so here you can see the gap. I'm going to tilt the computer up, and then I'm going to try and get this over first. There we go. Just like that. Then we can go ahead and clip around all in place. Go ahead and work your way down, and you can go ahead and clip all of that back in. But that's pretty much all there is to this. We're going to now put all the screws back in. Again, hopefully this video helped you guys. If it did, please like, subscribe, share my channel with others. If it helped you save a bunch of money, again, please consider throwing a little my way. Every little bit helps. Again, this kind of stuff that I'm doing actually eats into my computer repair business, so hopefully if it saves you money, please consider it, as I'm helping you repair your computer. And if you can, please contribute a little. All right, but other than that, that's pretty much it. You're welcome to stay as I put back the rest of the screws. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. All right, let's go ahead and put back all these screws. Right, after I get all these screws in, I'm actually going to plug the thing in and just see what the charging status is. I probably should have done that before I started, just to make sure that the computer is working okay. I often forget to do that and just work on it, just going based off what the customer told me. So yeah, let's go ahead and finish getting all these screws back in. Right, last one. Alright, so let's go ahead and plug this computer in and see what shows up with the LEDs on the front. So I'm going to plug this cable back in. Okay, let's go ahead. So the charger is showing a green light here. let's go ahead and plug the cable in the back. And here you can see no lights are showing up, just like the customer said. Let's see if I push on this hard. Nothing is happening. Oh, there we go. So here you can see, now that I'm kind of resting it on the thing, it lights up. So that's very strange because I do see the connection coming through. So let's go ahead and check the voltage coming in. Okay, I'm going to set this to 20 volts. Usually laptops are 19.5 or 20 at the most. So you can see output 19 volts here. Okay, so if I connect this on there, hopefully it should show. Excuse me. All right, so let's plug this there and connect this here. You can see the voltage is coming through just fine. So very strange that it needs so much force, especially since it shows it's actually shorting to the board. So I'm gonna try filing this a tiny bit and just see if that helps. All right, and I'll be back. Actually, let me get a little file thing here. All right, I'll see you guys in a bit when I get the file. All right, so I doubt this will help, but I got a file. All right, and I'm just gonna file off the plastic here. If you're doing this, make sure that you unplugged it. As you can see, I unplugged that. All right, so let's go ahead and file this a little bit. I don't want to do too much because I don't want to cause permanent damage. But this thing already looked kind of melted, so we'll see if filing off this plastic will help. All right. So as you can see, I'm facing the thing downwards because I don't want the filed off plastic to fall inside. So let's go ahead and continue filing it. Okay. So I just filed a little bit of it. Let me clean this out, the center as well. All right, let's see if that made a difference. So here you can see, kind of filed it down a little bit. All right. And now we're going to plug this back in and see if there's any change at all. If I have to push the same hardness or nothing, or less, or nothing. All right, so let's go ahead and plug this in. Zoom out. And still nothing's happening. If I drop it on the charger. Nothing's happening now. I wonder if the plastic was extending out and helping push that out, because right now nothing is happening. So let's see here. I'm gonna actually also try removing the plastic shell here. Oh yeah, there we go, it's working. So that's really strange. It requires a lot of force to get this to connect. So I'm not too sure what's going on. Let's go ahead and remove the plastic casing again, and then we're going to test the charger without this, and maybe that will get the charger closer. Okay. And I'm going to do that off camera because I already showed you how to take the bottom cover off, so I'll do that and I will be back. All right, see you guys in a bit. All right, so I removed all the screws. Let's go ahead and pop this back out again like before. Again, I'm gonna get my fingernails along this little gap back here. All right, and then we're gonna pull that up. Once we get that gap up, all right, let's go ahead and same thing, go along this side. All right, going along. There we go. Once we get along the front here, you can see you can pop this whole thing out. There we go. All right, let's try plugging it in without the plastic cover and see if that makes a difference. And nope, same thing, no battery. It requires like a lot of force, like pushing this, so that's pretty crazy. So it's not an up or down motion, it's only a forward and in motion. So it has to go directly in towards that. I'll try putting some solder there. Let me see if my soldering iron can fit in there. If it can't, then I'm just gonna reassemble it, and that's pretty much all there is to it. If the customer ends up deciding for me to replace the charge port, it's most likely going to end up being about 180. I'm going to have to take the whole motherboard out and everything like that. But yeah, all right, I'm going to see about doing that. I already showed how to put the computer back together, so that's pretty much all there is. Hopefully this video helped you guys. Again, if it did, like, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. All right, bye. All right, so I just wanted to let you guys know the workaround repair ended up being a success. So let me zoom in and show you what I did. Okay, so here we go. So first thing, we have this LCD cable here that it's right here. Right now it's in the way. If you work on this, there's a good chance you might damage it. So what I had to do was I had to pull this cable out, all right, and then tuck it behind the USB port here. All right, so what I did was, as you can see, this plastic here is melted right now. So I took some thermal paste. So I have this, which is basically the what do you call it? Sorry, not thermal paste, solder paste, which is basically the solder in a paste liquidy form. It's grounded up solder mixed with flux. So I used that to get the solder and flux where I needed it to get to down there. All right, so once I got the solder in there, then right now the soldering iron's off, so it's okay. But I basically took the solder and got it down and melted the plastic here, okay? And I had to be very careful not to heat up the capacitors that are over here. And I was able to melt the solder down into that. There's a little circle ring, as you can see. I'll try and show this better in the camera, but let's see. So in here, you can see there's this big circle ring where the tail, or this pin, connects down to the rest of the charge port. So I basically soldered the tail onto that whole little circle there. So I put a whole thick blob of solder on that, and that helped get a solid connection. So it looks like there was actually a hairline crack down between the tail and that that big circle disc area. That was common in a lot of some Asus laptops. Like some models had this issue. I forgot which one. I think it was like K50 or something. I don't know. But anyways, I added solder to the grounding or the negative pins as well. All right, I'm not an electrician, so I don't know. I think it's the negative, because for DC, which this is direct current, it's not AC anymore. So I would call this the positive and this is the negative, I guess. All right. And if you do attempt this, make sure that you do disconnect the battery and then open the computer and press and hold the power button 10 to 15 seconds again. You don't want to risk shorting something out just by trying to fix the problem you already have. Then you'll end up creating an even worse problem. All right, once you do that, of course, put the LCD LVDS cable back, make sure it's kind of taped into place. So here now I'll show you. If I go ahead and let me see if I can somehow show this on camera. I might have to turn the light and the flash off so you can see that right when I plug this in. All right, let's see here. So I'm going to turn that off and let's see if you can see. So now I'm going to plug the charge port in, okay? And now you can see that the orange lights are on. I'm not pressing down on it or anything. I'm actually carrying it above my desk, and you can see the orange light is staying on. Before, it had to have like some pressure keeping pushed on the back, but here you can see now the light is staying on. So we fixed that. Let's go ahead and unplug this. I'm gonna make sure that the computer turns on. Of course, that's very important. If you fix that and your computer doesn't turn on, then what's the point? So let's go ahead and turn this on. So these gaming laptops, when it's on battery, usually you have to press and hold the power button. It's lighting up, and there we go. It's showing the Eluktroniks, and hopefully we'll see the Windows circle thing spinning around as well. I don't know why it's taking so long. There we go. All right, so that should be good to go. I don't own this computer. This is a customer's computer, just like every other computer. Here you can see it's actually 1111. This took me quite a while to fix. But anyways, you can see the computer's good. It's always a good idea to restart the computer one time when starting it up after making some changes. But other than that, that's all there is to it. You saw how to put back the cover already. So I'm going to end the video here. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this video helped. Hopefully it helped you save a bunch of money, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.